Thanks, Chrissy, and thanks to the Vertical Events team for putting on another tremendous event. It's fantastic to see so many people here. I'll get to B before D eventually, but bear with me for a little bit while I talk about copper and gold. And I think most people in the room would have a view on copper and gold and looking for exposure. As Chrissy said, in terms of our underlying resource, one of the most undervalued ASX copper and gold JORC resources that you will find. I'd challenge you to find another one. That's as low as ours. Tremendous opportunity with a project base set in the Mount Isa region. We've been operating there for 13 years, some 3,600 square kilometres of tenure and over 500,000 tonnes of copper equivalent metal already under a JORC resource. And I'll talk to you about the opportunity we have to extend that JORC resource further this year. We have JVs in the Mount Isa region on exploration properties, some of the world's largest miners, and I'll talk to that. And in Western Australia, we have a growing presence. We have a project in the Yandal belt right near the old Bronzewing mine, where we've defined a 50,000 ounce resource there, just put a mining licence application around it. So as I sit here today, 2026 shapes as a critical year for the company and one of tremendous ability to action these projects with good commodity tailwinds behind us in both copper and gold. And the B before D, I'll talk to you about molybdenum again. In terms of the valuation, current market capitalisation of $35 million. We have $3.5 million in treasury. We have future payments of up to $11 million that we'll receive from Carnaby Resources, and I'll talk to that in further detail. So in terms of thinking about this, an enterprise value with roughly $20 million, 500,000 tonnes of copper equivalent metal in Mount Isa, 50,000 ounces of gold here in WA, and an established board and management team that have created value for their shareholders historically through a combination of both mineral discovery, resource development and new acquisitions. Our top 20 shareholders, well known to the company, all relatively stable, all long-term supporters of what we've been doing. In terms of our portfolio in the Mount Isa region, some 3,600 square kilometres here in between Mount Isa and Cloncurry, surrounded by Tier 1 deposits in pretty much every direction. And the reason that we picked up this tenure was effectively that it had been underexplored for a century, effectively. Two large fault structures running right through the middle of it with tremendous geological potential. And it's around those faults that we find the majority of our mineral inventory there. That mineral inventory at Kalman alone stands for 200,000 tonnes of copper metal, some 340,000 ounces of gold, 38,000 tonnes of molybdenum, which if you do the maths at $75,000 per tonne is a tremendous in-ground valuation. And another really important emerging critical mineral I'll talk to you about is rhenium. I mentioned those JVs. I can tell you how good our exploration tenure is. But what I would encourage you to do is accept that our JV partners in Glencore, Sumitomo Metal Mining and South 32 have done their due diligence on this ground, and they share the view that this tenure has the ability to deliver a Tier 1 mineral deposit, and that's what we're there exploring for. In terms of the region that we're exploring, our project there is centred at Kalman, some 30 kilometres south of the Barclay Highway. The Barclay Highway carries power, water, all the infrastructure that you'd need for a modern mining operation. So we're in a mining district. We're well located to all the infrastructure that you require. In addition to looking at development options for Kalman this year, we'll look to increase our resource inventory and look to include satellite deposits in a study that will centre on processing ore at Kalman. Those projects that I talked to, this picture here represents approximately 30 kilometres of view that you can see from that particular image. So picture yourself sitting here in Fremantle looking all the way up to Hillary's, out to Rottnest. This is all Hammer's tenure, and within this tenure we have significant instances of copper mineralisation. We did a review last year of the portfolio. We drilled 58 targets here over the past 13 years. 48 of them have carried an intercept of at least 1 gram per tonne gold or 1% copper. Tremendous mineral inventory in this area, and while some of it may be currently uneconomic, with a surge in copper price, each of these projects looks better every day. In terms of those deposits to the north, Blackrock, 78 metres at 0.5% copper. Drilling at that prospect, still 300 metre spacing. So whilst we haven't drilled it out and we haven't put a resource around it, it's this type of mineral inventory that we can look to bank in the Mount Isa region and increase the development scenario at Kalman. We have resources at Jubilee, circa 2% copper equivalent for 1.5 million tonnes. Overlander, all of these are within trucking distance of a central operation at Kalman. And you can see there some of the stunning intersections that these deposits have delivered. 30 metres at 6 grams per tonne gold at Elaine, again another copper gold resource in the portfolio. In terms of Kalman, we probably jumped the gun here when we released the resource update here in 2023. Our resource update at the time I thought was spectacular, a 40% increase in the mineral inventory. And some of the results that we reported in 2023 for this deposit, I would suggest if they were published now would attract a lot more attention than the company's currently seen. Our drilling in 2023 was outside of the known resource at the time, 89 metres at 1.7% copper equivalent, 107 metres at 0.97% copper equivalent. It's got high-grade mineralisation within the core of the project, 9 metres at 6% copper equivalent. All of these results were extensional drilling that we did at Kalman at the time, and they now all sit within an open pit resource of the project. In terms of that open pit resource, 27.5 million tonnes sitting in an open pit with a strip ratio of 6, circa 1% copper equivalent. The economics on that look pretty interesting. The basket of commodity prices today are some 70% higher than when we did the resource report back in 2023. Gives us an ideal setting to look about publishing a scoping study on this project. To publish a scoping study, we need a little bit more material into the indicated category. We'll return to drilling at Kalman next month. We'll look to add to the mineral inventory here, in addition to drilling at a number of those targets that are on the previous slide. Our stated goal for this year is to add another 100,000 tonnes of copper equivalent metal to the portfolio and convert this from thinking about a 10-year operation producing 30,000 tonnes to a multi-decade asset that's set within a copper province. Molybdenum, 54 occasions in the English language where the letter B occurs before D. That's the easy way to remember how to say molybdenum. I'll just call it Molly for short. A critical mineral used in every application you can pretty much think of wherever you want steel hardened, longer life, less corrosion. Every stainless steel that's produced has a small amount of molybdenum in it. In a new age economy, it'll go into our wind turbines, it'll go into your nuclear turbines that spin to produce power. Think about data centres and the power they require. The molybdenum case and the investment case for molybdenum is particularly strong. It's on our list of critical minerals. And you can see there the tremendous growth in that price from 2021, when about 10% of the world's supply came offline in the North American market. The prices exceeded $100,000 per tonne in 2023, and that price really has settled back around the $70,000 per tonne mark to $75,000, predominantly because the world can't source enough molybdenum currently. And as the analyst there at Bloomberg suggests, it really is in the perfect storm. Which is a perfect segue for long-term, what did we think of the molybdenum price back in 2023? The Kalman study effectively used about a $36,000 per tonne price deck there. So when we look at it today, how does that sit and where does it sit on that current cost graph? You can see there it's a long way below the current metal price and the metal price over the past 5 years. And we see encouragement when we see long-term life of mine agreements signed with a floor price set in them of $19 per pound or roughly $42,000 per tonne. We think this underpins the future of Kalman. So if I can't convince you that the copper and gold at Kalman's are incredibly valuable, then maybe the molybdenum is a cream on the cake here that delivers strong returns for a long period of time. Take away the copper and gold, Hammer's Kalman project is one of the world's highest grade undeveloped projects of molybdenum in the Western world. It's about number 3 on the list. So if you're looking for a project in the future that can deliver good grades of molybdenum, economically, Kalman has it. In addition to rhenium, rhenium isn't a rare earth element, but it is one of the world's rarest elements in the Earth's crust, and I think it was one of the last elements discovered on the periodic table. It's pretty much used on every jet turbine engine on an aeroplane. So it's incredibly heat resistant. It protects aeroplanes and the aeroplane industry. And so what we've seen over the past couple of years is the Chinese aviation industry really kick off. A lot of defence spending on fighter jets and the like, consuming a lot of rhenium. And just in the last 12 months, we've seen rhenium prices go from $1,500 a kilo to over $6,000 a kilo. An incredibly important metal, and this was recognised last year with the US government adding it to the critical minerals list. I won't talk about or dwell on these JV projects too much. They are in progress. We have results outstanding from our project with Sumitomo Metal Mining at Bulrush. We expect them out in the next fortnight, in addition to some drilling that we did with South 32, looking for a large-scale sedimentary hosted lead zinc copper deposit on the Mount Isa fault. Our transaction with Carnaby Resources in 2024, it's future payments of up to $11 million. 5 of that is on a decision to mine at Mount Hope, and as we heard from the Carnaby team yesterday, they're looking to get after that development and commence mining later this year. And the final $6 million there is paid upon the production of any ore out of the sub-blocks that we sold in that transaction. So again, a recent resource update out of the Mount Hope South project, circa 2% copper ore body. When that is eventually produced from, we'll see a further $6 million paid to Hammer. But wait, there's more. We've got our gold project in Western Australia. So you can see there we're located between, really significant gold operations there. Jundee, Wiluna, Bellevue, Darlow, Thunderbox. We're in the heart of all of that. And we defined a resource here in 2024 of 54,000 ounces at North Aurelia. The tenure includes some exploration, some tremendous exploration prospects just south of the old Bronzewing mine, and anyone that's heard me speak before will know what those targets are and what they look like, and I'd be more than happy to address some questions at our booth. The North Aurelia Gold Project, we're 10 kilometres here of the mining operation at Aurelia by Northern Star, so they've roughly got 1 million ounces at their Aurelia project that they're trucking down to Thunderbox. Our resource at North Aurelia was predicated on those drill holes that you can see there, really shallow intercepts of somewhere between 2 and 10 grams per tonne gold, widths anywhere from a couple of metres up to 10 metres, and the overall footprint there stretches for some 1.5 to 2 kilometres. There's extensional targets that we've got here that we'll look to drill during the year, and we've recently submitted our mining licence application for this tenure. We'll look to take advantage of the current gold price. We'll look at commercialisation options, varying from toll treatment arrangements in the region through to mining joint ventures and anything else that you can imagine along the way, an early way to help fund our activities in the region and our aspirations in Mount Isa. Metallurgy looks good. The conditions up there for mining are fantastic. So this is a project that we see progressing in the coming 12 months. Bronzewing South, so 3 million ounce ore body you can see there sitting north of the tenure. Our tenure starts less than 100 metres away from the old open pit at Bronzewing South, and this tenement has really been lightly explored since the original Bronzewing discovery, and there's a few reasons for that. Again, I'll be more than happy to discuss that in some detail. The 2 zones that we cottoned onto last year, the Boundary East zone, more recently the West Gap, have both delivered interesting intercepts of gold. The West Gap there, 4 metres at 0.8 grams per tonne. You're not going to write home or develop a mine on that, but it's really interesting to consider that the original discovery holes at the Bronzewing mine were 4 metres at 0.4 grams per tonne. The year ahead, as I said, a year of action. Mount Isa will see resource growth drilling at Mount Isa, be it Kalman, Trafalgar, which we've now got back 100% owned by Hammer, which had some fantastic intercepts, 60 metres at 1% copper back in 2021. That's back in our hands for the first time in a number of years. Look for resources out of that particular project, in addition to targets that we'll drill at Lady Jenny, Revenue, Yellowstone, the list goes on. We'll look to grow that inventory by up to 100,000 tonnes this year as we progress our mining studies at Kalman. As I said, just that little bit of drilling there to do that'll get us across the guidelines for a scoping study. In the Yandal project area, we'll look to infill resource drilling, improve the confidence in that resource, as well as looking at near-term commercialisation options. We'll continue our exploration efforts at Bronzewing South, in addition to some new targets that we've defined there. There's a more detailed timeline of what we're looking to deliver. We're a busy team, good prospects in copper and gold, a hint of critical metals, and I think a good year to look forward to for Hammer shareholders and new shareholders looking to join. Coincidentally, we're located just next to the bar out the front. I'm not sure if that's by reputation or what, but we're certainly in a location out there that you'll find us. Thanks very much.